1. Welcome back for another episode of the Run and Shoot podcast. I'm Ryan, as always, joined
I'm Chuck.
by my fearless co-host, Chuck Hicks. Chuck, I believe this is episode number 16.
That it is, man. And number 16, we're just rolling right along and doing some good things. And tell you what's going on with some good things. Titans right now, feeling pretty good.
Titans are looking great, man. Really had me in a cardiac type situation watching that game, listening to that game. They pulled it out, though. You know, it's fun to see the Titans winning close games that we've traditionally found ways to lose in the past.
Yeah, I kind of got to a point, like I think when the Texans were in the red zone and they were fixing to score to extend the game, to extend their lead. And I thought, typical Titans, here we go again. Win the big games, but then lose the games they're supposed to win. But then Tannehill got in, ran that 2-minute offense to perfection. What a play between A.J. Brown to send it to overtime. And, of course, Tractorcito taking the rest of the way and taking us home. So it was very nice.
That's right. A team that just refuses to quit, and an offense that right now I think feels like they can score if you give them a minute left on that clock.
Yeah, it was very nice to see. Like I said, Tannehill's just setting the field ablaze, and there's not enough, words to really describe what he's doing. It's amazing. I mean, everybody coming into the season downed him, like thinking this ain't going to happen again. It was a great story last year, but
how many people had like Derrick Henry maybe in their top 5 running backs fantasy-wise, other than the folks that think they know what's going on? Like, he's been a favorite of mine for a couple of years. I've received some shit in a couple of leagues for, like, keeping him a couple of years. Not these past couple, and especially this year. The thing is, I think a lot of people think it takes a little while for him to get rolling, but the way this offense is playing so well together, right? So we keep pounding that rock with Henry. He's able to take that workload on. Tannehill plays so well off of that play action, and the two work hand in hand so flawlessly. I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize here. Now, also, offensive line plays being key, and now we're having to fill some holes there, some major holes, especially after the Lewan injury. But it's the most consistent Titans offense that maybe I could ever remember.
It is, and you got to think that the tight end position's deep. I mean, Ferkser had a great game at over 100 yards, filling in for Smith that was injured, and then the receiving core. What can you say? I mean, other than A.J. Brown, you look at Adam Humphries come in and played, his usual 6-7 catch game, getting those
Khalif
first
Raymond,
downs.
Cameron Batson had a big catch in that game.
He did, played well. The offensive line played well. I think that we only gave up 2 sacks in that game. And, when we look at sacks, the last couple of years has not been friendly to us. But now we're seeing this team actually taking care of business as far as taking care of Tannehill. So, I mean, all kudos to the offense all the way around. I just feel like
Defense, you're about to hit on it. Yeah, defense is where we struggled on Sunday, and we've given up a lot of points so far this year. I expect them to get a rein on it. Now, there's been bright spots, like the pass rush is starting to improve. We're not necessarily getting home and getting those sacks, but we're getting stops in the backfield. You're seeing Simmons as a force. You got to throw a double team in him every single play. Otherwise, he's going to be in the backfield wreaking havoc on your quarterback, your running back, whatever's going on back there. Secondary-wise, there's been a few bright spots here and there. Malcolm Butler's shown some bright spots, but I think he's showing that he's not necessarily a guy that's going to cover number 1 receivers across the league. We need Adoree' to come back for that. And we need some other guys to just start stepping up. The rookie, Fulton, he's looked good at times too, but he's also looked like a rookie at times too, which is to be expected.
Well, it's I just like you said when you said about the pass rush, it's getting better, but it's not where it needs to be as far as like playing on a elite level. I mean, and then also you look at the secondary, we're still recovering from injuries and, breaking in a rookie. We got some veterans that are a little bit nicked up. It looked like Joseph was nicked up a little bit. I mean, for Carl even looked out of sync. Even Byard, the whole secondary kind of looked out of sync, but as the season goes on, we can hope that the pass rush, number 1, gets better, and number 2, that pass rush can complement that secondary and help them out, as far as that goes, because Watson looked way too comfortable passing the football against us Sunday.
And he often does, especially though looked especially comfortable behind a pretty shitty offensive line in Houston.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
For Romeo Crennel down there as the interim, but you can't expect that guy to win more than one game in a row either. He's just not used to it throughout his career. But you can tell we're excited to talk about the Tennessee Titans. But Chuck, what do you say we get started on that opening drive and look across the entire world of sports?
Right before we do, I got a number 16 fun fact since we're on episode 16. There's a NFL running back, a current one right now, who has had 16 100-yard games in his career so far. And in those 16 games, his team has won every bit of those games. So they're 16-0. Can you name me that running back?
Is it the hometown kid? Is it Derrick Henry?
It's the king himself, Derrick Henry. He's had 16 100-yard games, and the Tennessee Titans are 16-0 because of it. So when King Henry gets that ball, gets it over 100 yards, you expect great things.
Feed the beast.
Feed the beast. So, like you said, we'll get on to the opening drive. We've got the Braves. They had their opportunity. They were up as much as 3-1. I mean, Brian, with it being Atlanta, they choked it away once again. It's not just them. It's just the whole sports area as Atlanta. They're known as chokers now.
Things look rough. It's hard to say that necessarily in this case. And I'll say this is the reason why. I was born, the first team that I ever pledged any allegiance to would be the Atlanta Braves. I was born and raised a Braves fan. But my grandparents, my grandmother was the biggest Braves fan I've ever seen. And probably the biggest Braves fan that I will ever see. Never missed a game, was constantly, giving her feedback to the TV in various manners, whether or not, the pitchers, batters on the other end necessarily heard it. You know how that goes, a little screaming at the TV. And that's what fueled my love for sports from the get-go. So I was invested, especially seeing that we hadn't been this far in a long time. But it's a team that's still ahead of schedule. But this is the way I've digested it over the last couple of days, because I did take it pretty rough on Sunday. If it hadn't been for the Titans pulling that game out, I would have probably walked into oncoming traffic that night. But it kept me from stepping over the edge, right?
Right.
But what an exciting series. If you really just look at it, hell of a series. From a pure entertainment perspective, you had everything in this game. You had tons of stolen bases. You had guys getting thrown out at home plate. You had home runs robbed left and right, where we had a chance to rob a couple that we didn't time up necessarily right out there. The rookie played great in the series, but some of those missed opportunities cost us big time. When on the other end, you had Mookie Betts, who robbed at least 2 home runs there in center field.
What a stud, man. I just want to say
he's
that
a local kid, man. I love Mookie Betts. Zero hate. I hope, to see him have success. But base running errors, just a lot of the excitement, especially the base running errors that we saw on Sunday night, where you have no outs, man on second and third, and you end up getting both guys out in that rundown, that pickle, where the ball gets the grounder gets hit right there to third base. And there's not much you can do in that situation. Dansby Swanson's halfway down the damn baseline by that point. I think you got to be conservative, knowing how valuable base runners are in that point, or maybe you're not cheating so far off the bag, but he was running on contact. So by the time third baseman had the ball, he was already like, shh, I'm in a pickle right here, right? So didn't have many options. The biggest thing, though, they still tried to pull Riley into third after that happened in a miraculous play there at third base to be able to get both of those guys. Miraculous on one end, boneheaded, though, on the other. And it was so costly. The Braves had every chance, had base runners left on all series. With that being said, you're down your number one pitcher in the rotation going into the season. It's a very young team, and some of them being young is the reason they're not playing in the World Series. And you got to say, look, I don't love the Dodgers other than Mookie. I love some Mookie Betts. He's one of the most underrated players in the game. And he's not very underrated at all. But so many guys on that team with punchable faces, Will Smith and just most of that lineup, right? Seager, all those guys. But they got the job done. They played great baseball when it really mattered. they got it done. It seemed like their hits always came with like 2 outs, 2 strikes. They seemed to foul an extra ball off and then knock one out of the park. They got it done when it mattered, and it was a fun, exciting series if I take my fandom out of it altogether. With that being said, better things ahead for the Braves.
That I agree, Ryan. And but do you blame this more on the fact that Atlanta basically choked, or do you really credit LA for what they did? I mean, the talent that they have just to come back from a 3-1 deficit.
You credit LA. Absolutely. They had plenty of times where they could have hung it up. And the Braves had plenty of times where they could have put this thing away, especially in Game 5. You had that Will Smith on Will Smith crime, and that turned the whole series. That home run right there, that was it.
I agree.
Like that momentum, and especially in the game of baseball, huge. And when you look at like coming back from 3-1, it's not the same as the NBA. Like this happens sometimes in baseball and hockey and some of these other sports. It's a little unheard of when it comes to the NBA. We saw it happen, though, a few years ago with the Warriors in Cleveland. But here, the inexperience showed when it comes to Atlanta closing the series out, but also the wherewithal and some of the veteran leaders there for LA getting it done. Now, with that being said, they haven't won a title since '88. The Rays have never won one. LA has been really good at being like the Buffalo Bills of the MLB the last couple of years. Now, if you take the cheating and stuff out in Houston, they probably have a title since '88. But we got a pretty good matchup coming up. Who are you rooting for in the World Series?
Well, I mean, obviously the Tampa Bay Rays, you know, I think there was like a number that was posted by ESPN, like of the team's payroll, and it like triples what Tampa Bay has. So, I mean, honestly,
2 players with LA equals pretty much the Rays' entire salary.
What was it, like Kershaw and Mookie Betts?
I think so.
But it goes back to what I said. You always want to pull for the dog, but then you got to realize that a team that has been constantly there, like the LA Dodgers are having, it just makes you even hungrier. And I just feel like this team, after overcoming this 3-1 deficit, has all the momentum in the world. And I really believe
they're tired.
I mean, it's a possibility, but when you team that has been dogged here recently, in recent years, saying you can't close out the big game, you choked big time, you're going to have that chip on your shoulder. And I think as big and as talented as LA is, I think I picked LA to win the World Series, and that's what I'm going to stick with. LA Dodgers in 6.
Picking LA in 6. It's a tough one. I just hope to see a good series, honestly. The thing that does suck is, like, look, LA's had their chance a couple of times here recently. It would have been so fun to see the Braves and the Rays in this one. That's not what MLB wanted for national exposure by any means.
No, absolutely not.
And this could give LA 2 titles. Also, though, it could give the Rays a couple. I mean, think about this. So, NHL, they win the Stanley Cup in Tampa Bay, right?
Right.
What if Tampa Bay wins the World Series, and then Tom Brady looked pretty good the other day, too?
Did.
What if Tampa Bay might be getting hot in the year 2020. I'm going to pick, as far as my rooting interest in this one, I just want to see a good series, but I like to root for the underdog, and so for that reason, I'm going to root for the Rays here, and that's who I would also pick to win this one. I don't know how many games necessarily. For the sake of it, I'd like it to go 7.
I mean, if you're, like you said, a baseball fan, you would love to see a classic series here between these two. I mean, it's amazing what Tampa Bay has done. I mean, I'm not going to regard what they have done. They have done some great things. And to me, I feel like they are the hot team. But I feel like as far as momentum goes, if that makes any sense, is going to LA because – I mean, Ryan, if you were down 3-1 and you're pretty much left for dead and you come back, how are you going to feel coming back? You're going to be pumped. I just feel like
huge.
It's huge, and I think they've got that. And to be honest, I wanted kind of Houston to go so LA could pound them to the ground. I wanted to see it.
I just wanted to see Houston eliminated, and we got to see that happen. So, look, they can go find other ways to cheat coming into next year. Before we move on from baseball, too, I got a couple little things about baseball. Like, there's so many rules and unwritten rules and everything else and etiquettes and things like that. But there are some written rules and some things that are just a little bit oddball when it comes to Major League Baseball. Some weird statistics. So let me tell you a couple of these. Tell me if you think it's legit or not, right? And then we'll talk about it. So what about this ruling right here? So if you catch a ball with your hat, right? So if you take your hat off and catch a ball, the runner automatically goes to third by rule. Do you think that's an actual rule?
I think that's an actual rule. It sounds weird.
It is. According to Rule 506B of the MLB rulebook, all runners advance 3 bases if you catch the ball with your hat. Even though you would think it would be quite impressive and you might get something for it, it actually works against you.
Yeah, I feel like they would be really anal about having sandlot rules in baseball.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, what about this one? So, no major league player has ever hit 2 grand slams in a single game.
No.
Do you think that's true or not?
I think that's false. I think that's happened before.
It has happened. It's happened 13 times, including, so back in 99, Fernando Tatis hit 2 in the same inning against the Dodgers. And you might have heard of his son, Fernando Tatis Jr., who plays for the San Diego Padres. He had that tear this year.
Slam
nice
Diego.
Tie-in right there, right?
Interesting.
Right, so, yeah, pretty interesting. All right. And also this one, 20%, right? A fifth of Major League Baseball, as far as the teams, have still not won a World Series.
I'm going to say true.
Also true. So 6 of the 30 teams have not. That includes the Rays. The other teams, the Rockies, the Mariners, the Brewers, the Padres, and the Rangers.
Out of all of them, I think the Padres have the best chance to get that World Series in their
We'll see. They certainly went for it this year, and they'll have a little bit to build on going into next season, but a nice, fun, young core there.
I agree. Totally. 100%. Why don't we get in some college football? That'd be great.
Lead us right into some college football, Chuck.
Ah, man, it's been an interesting weekend. We'll start with Arkansas and Mississippi, Ole Miss. You know, the Ole Miss Rebels had 7 turnovers. That pretty much derailed the team. So the Rebels lost to the Razorbacks 33-22. So Arkansas is 2-2. That impressive. I mean, considering
pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. Considering where at the beginning of the season, me and you ripped them off to probably go 0-10 in the SEC, and now they've already won more games than they did last year. So,
well, you remember the year that Franks got hurt and Trask came in there last year, right? Like Felipe wasn't playing bad.
No, he wasn't playing bad. It was just rotten luck.
He had ups and downs and things like that with the consistency, really, of that Florida offense, which hadn't really been there. It's getting there. It's definitely getting there. But Felipe's a pretty good player, man. You might remember you'll always remember at least one Felipe Franks play. Am I correct?
You will.
You will in particular.
Yeah. And the play that will not be named. Let's just put it like that.
Hail Mary from the 50-yard line.
Felipe Mary. That's what I call it. The Felipe Mary. But Ole Miss falls to 1-3. Not the ideal start for, Lane Kiffin, but kind of expected with him being the first ball club. But still, I think it's a bright future down there in Ole Miss. Just had a rotten game, 7 turnovers. That's going to put you in a hole, and it's going to put you in a hole quick.
It's never
so the next game, the Texas A&M Aggies took on the Air Raid. I got the Mississippi State, the new nickname, the Air Raid Dogs.
The Air Raid Dogs.
The Air Raid Dogs. It just sounds like a fighter jet flying through the air. Here come the Air Raid Dogs.
How did that fighter fare against Texas A&M?
But I figured this game would be a shootout, and it was nowhere near close to what I thought it would be. The Aggies rolled past the Air Raid Dogs. Texas A&M 28, Mississippi State 14, as the A&M Aggies are 3-1, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs are 1-3. So Aggies have got something going on right now. So, I mean, they've got, other than the Bama loss, they won against Florida. They, of course, they beat Mississippi State, but it seems like they got some momentum going. Just a little bit. And then you also got Mississippi State that's just falling back now. So it makes you wonder, how quick are they catching up? Or it's just the mistakes, man. They had 3 more turnovers. I mean, 10 turnovers in 2 games. You're not going to win a lot of ball games.
No.
No. So the next one, Tigers slump continues as the Auburn Tigers and get beat by the Gamecocks. The final score in that game, 30-22, South Carolina. South Carolina moves to 500 with 2-2, and Auburn falls to 500 2-2. So Auburn probably the most
bad in that game too, right?
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix is not who we thought he was. You know what I'm saying?
I was really tooting his horn earlier in the season, thinking that he was going to have a good year, but he's just proven not to be a great SEC quarterback.
Right, and hey, if they want to trade him to Tennessee, I'll be glad to take him. Just saying, but we'll roll on to the next game. Speaking of rolling, the Tide rolled as they toppled the Dogs in the battle for the top team in the SEC. Bama won that game 41-24 over Georgia. Bama remains unbeaten, and Georgia falls to 3-1, which I think they only fell to 4th or 5th. So,
okay.
So we basically pretty much saw probably a preview of the SEC championship here. But also, the last game that I saved for last because I got a lot to talk about on this one.
Oh, man.
The Tennessee Vols suffered a major setback in a blowout loss to the Wildcats of Kentucky. The final score of that game, 34-7 UK. And Ryan, do you mind if I get started on this, man? I've been waiting all day to get on this.
Oh, man, Chuck, I'm sure you got nothing but good things to say about that offense, especially Jarrett Guarantano.
Well, I'm tired of talking about Jarrett Guarantano at this point. I think we all know that he sucks, just basically. I mean, but let's not kick the dead horse here. But to me, this falls on the coaching staff in this game. I mean, I get it. You throw 2 pick sixes in a row. All right, that's automatic. To me, you're not playing for the rest of the year, let alone another down in this game. Stroud throws an interception, and he puts Guarantano back in the game. What are you doing?
It reminds me of like the Kerry Collins situation. Remember years back when it's like Vince would just do the slightest little thing, and it's like, here comes Kerry Collins to blow the game. And, oh, no, why?
I was the same way, yeah. And, no, I'd rather have those days tenfold over the days that we have in Knoxville.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, are you telling me you can't have another quarterback that is developed enough and better than Jarrett Guarantano? To me, that just shows that we're not actually making progress that I thought we were making, man. I mean, do I think we need to fire the coaching staff? No, not right now. I mean, we could
already
come
started doing some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did it, though, because Chavis is in Knoxville. He coaches the middle school team.
Yeah.
So they might just wheel him on in to that position. I mean, I could see it. But they need it. I mean, it's just – I think the whole across the board, we've got to get something going because it's not going to get any easier. We got Alabama, man, and Bama. And I'm praying that we start Guarantano. And Bama crucifies him.
Well, if you remember in the preseason picks, this was your upset game, right? UT beats Bama. Do you think there's what percentage chance do you think that UT has to pull the upset against Alabama as we speak right now?
0 chance if Guarantano's in, and 1% chance if it's somebody else.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just going to be honest here, man, because after what I saw.
How bad was your day, though, when this happened? Because, like, was it as bad as one particular UT fan?
No, I mean, I've been through worse. The UGA one that we got beat 41-0, that was gut-wrenching, man.
I mean, Georgia State, that was a rough one.
That was not as bad as Georgia. To me, that was the worst game because we got not only beat, we got manhandled in Knoxville. That was the only game that I watched as a Tennessee fan and turned it off early. I never usually turn off.
Let this story serve as a warning to you because I know you get very emotional. Just like me and you can't fake, you can't hide compassion either, right? And when it comes to this stuff, we get into it. And I've seen you get pretty riled up, but there was one particular Vols fan this past weekend. They'd called into Sports Talk. I don't know how true it is, but according to him, he got so riled up at the TV during that blowout loss to Kentucky this past Saturday that he threw a beer bottle out his window of his living room. His wife left him. And he claims he doesn't even drink that much. He had like 2 beers. He was just so pissed off. Throws the beer bottle out the window, and that was the final straw for the wife. She left him. I guess she moved in with the parents for a little while. I don't know their current situation. Not a good way to finish out your Saturday evening.
I think the worst thing I ever done is when we lost to South Carolina one time. I took my kid's bat, and I went outside and just hit a brick wall. Over and over again. I was like, I wish this was Josh Dobbs' head. I can't stand you.
Oh,
and then
man,
I realized,
praying to have a guy like Dobbs back now.
Oh, if we can have half of what Dobbs was, I'd be happy. But it's just to me, I just feel like we're back at square one as far as like, the irrelevance of Tennessee again. I mean, it sucks, man. I mean, I love my Vols to death, and I love the coach that we got. But after this, I mean, it makes you question some of his play calling ability at this point. I mean, throwing Gargano back in the game and saying he's the best option available, it makes me question your development a little bit.
Not the greatest look.
It's not the greatest look. No, it's not. Moving on. Before I lose my temper, I'm trying to be quiet tonight. So
Goose Fraba.
But I want to talk about Trevor Lawrence for a minute. He had a game this weekend. I mean, granted, it was Georgia Tech. I mean, they're probably like Vanderbilt of the ACC at this point.
Well, they're coming back off of the Paul Johnson days, right? So it's a new coaching staff. He's not running the triple option.
Oh, yeah, it's like
none of that stuff. So there's going to be a transitionary period. But if this was the Paul Johnson era, this would be more of an impressive win.
Yeah, it would have been. And I feel like the reason I bring it up, Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers torch them 73-7. That's a whooping. And what's the more eye-popping stats? Trevor Lawrence had 391 yards, 5 scores in the first half. I mean,
some numbers.
That's a testament of how really good this guy is. Granted, like I said, it's Georgia Tech. But doing that in the first half against any team, man, you're clicking. You really, really are clicking. So, and then also on a lighter note, UNC, ranked number 5, which I thought they were overrated, got upset by the Noles this weekend.
You hate it for Mac Brown.
Yeah, you do, but I thought they were overrated. When I first saw the polls and I saw them at number 5, I'm like, where'd they come from?
If Florida State beat you, you're definitely overrated because Florida State's trash this year, and they have been for a couple of years. And that's a traditional power, especially being a Florida fan that you're going to face year in and year out. But they're not good. When the measuring stick is those guys and you lose to them, the program's probably headed in a bad direction this year.
They're a million miles from even a shadow of what they once was. And do you know how long it's been since they beat a top 5 team? It's been almost about 2 years. And like you said, that's crazy with a national power like they are. But it just goes to show you that national powers can go into turmoil like we're in turmoil. We've been in turmoil for freaking 10 years. So, I mean, when is it going to end? I don't know. We'll see. But that's it. That's all I got from college football. You got anything else you want to take away from this weekend?
Man, I don't know. I'm hoping to see the Gators come back from this whole COVID mess and play this coming week. I'm hoping that we just don't see any more of the spread of the COVID when it comes to college football, and we see that getting back to normal. I don't really know, though, honestly. Things are the biggest term of 2020, fluid, and that's currently the situation in college football. Hoping for the best.
Hope for the best. And, Ryan, let's go ahead and hop on to the NFL. Go ahead and shoot us with that recap.
Recapping this past weekend's NFL action, starting with the Lions running all over the Jags. Detroit won that one 34-16 over Jacksonville. There was a second fourth-quarter rally that helped the Colts overcome the Bengals, including in that second half there as well. Phil Rivers, making it count, earning that check for all them kids back home.
It's about time. It's about time.
You're right. Indy 31, Cincinnati 27. The Bears cool off the hot Panthers team here. Chicago wins 23-16 over Carolina. The Steelers did beat up on an already beaten up Browns team. Baker not at full strength. Odell not at full strength. Neither one of them proved otherwise, that's for sure. Pittsburgh 38, Cleveland 7. The Ravens hold off the Eagles' late rally as Baltimore wins 30-28 over Philadelphia. Pretty good game nonetheless.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a blast.
The Giants outlast the R-words, get their first win of the season. New York 20, Washington 19.
We have a New York team that won. Oh, what do you know?
The Broncos defense got the job done, even when the offense couldn't, as they smashed the Pats offense and have them looking for answers, quite honestly. Denver 18, New England 12. The Falcons finally got a win in the year 2020. The wrong Atlanta team won this weekend as they roll past the Vikings. Atlanta 40, Minnesota 23. The Dolphins blanked the Jets, but the good news, we got some Tua action as he made his first appearance, and he's going to be the starter going forward. Miami 24, New York, the Jets 0. And that pretty much speaks for that entire team right now, other than Frank Gore.
We don't need to talk about them. We talk about way too much. Let's just go on, man.
Tom Brady rode the defense as the Bucs stonewalled. The Packers also ran on Ronald Jones. He had a nice little game there, but
he did. He was
Aaron
hot.
Rodgers, not himself in this one. Tampa Bay 38, Green Bay 10. The 49ers, they got a nice little bounce back win here in the NFC West as they beat the Rams. San Francisco 24, LA 16.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills, they continued to fall this week as the Chiefs ran wild on them. Kansas City 26, Buffalo 17. 4 turnovers leave the Cowboys in the dust as the Cards fly on to the win. Arizona 38, Dallas 10. I don't think the Red Rifle's the answer down there for Dallas, but
No, we knew this coming in. It was not even close.
I think they can do better, man. I just don't know exactly who it is, but if they want to do anything this year, you got to do better than Andy Dalton.
And the scary thing is, they can still win the division.
Yeah. Somebody from that division has to win. Ezekiel Elliott's going to have to do more, but again, you're going to have to respect the passing game. They're going to have to go out and trade for Jameis Winston or something and really spark this season. I mean, who knows when Dak's coming back, even when he's cleared, right? We hope he's back for next season, but you got to make sure with a nasty injury like that things clear up. It's a good time not to be a Dallas Cowboys fan.
It is not. Now, I don't know if this was Outkick or Barstool, but they said that the NFC East should just combine all their talent and just send one team to the playoffs, which I agree. I mean,
and when you think about it, with the healthy bodies that are left there, that's not that impressive of a team.
It's not. I mean,
receiving core would look pretty nice.
Here's what I sent. I sent pretty much the Dallas Cowboys offense, and maybe send like parts of their defense and the Eagles defense. There you go. You got your winning team.
If I'm Jerry Jones, I'm calling up Roman. I'm like, look, you're fire in the booth, but man, how's that throwing arm looking for this year? Like, is there any chance? I'm calling up Uncle Rico or anybody at this rate. Look, Miami, you guys done with Fitzy? You guys done with Fitzy? Maybe we can bring him over to Dallas. And I think it's better than what you got.
It is, but I think Dallas still has a talent to get there because nobody else has the talent like they do. They should be winning this division miles and above, and they're not. But I don't know. It just baffles me, Ryan. It's crazy.
Indeed.
But the Titans, we'll go back to the Titans win over the weekend. I just run some
Might as well.
sweet numbers here. As you know, they won 42-36 over the Texans. Key division win. We've got to win our division games in order to make sure we win that division. To me, that's my number one goal as a Titans fan. That's like near the top with winning a playoff game or a Super Bowl, because we have not won a division in so long. We've had to get in by wild card, but we have a great opportunity in front of us. We've got a good team. We got probably one of the higher flying offenses in the NFL, and the division is not as strong as it used to be. We've got a chance. So to me, I want to close out that division. But King Henry reigned supreme this weekend, Ryan. Here's his numbers. He had 264 total yards, 2 rushing scores. So, I mean, King doing King things. I got some other thing here for you, Ryan. He leads the NFL in attempts with 123. He leads it in yards with 588. And he leads the NFL in yards per game with 118. Man, King doing King things, man. Looking good doing it.
You feed him, and he's pretty consistent running back. There's just a pretty easy combination when it comes to getting that guy rolling, and it's hand him the football and hand it to him multiple times a game, because he's going to get going. Whether he has a couple 2-3 yard gains, he gets hit in the backfield every once in a while, he's eventually going to wear in that defense. He's going to start breaking some big holes, and you saw it again. Another 90-plus yard run for a touchdown where he just
that was awesome.
The defense. A lot of really shitty screenplays that we called to him all through the game. We finally had one that worked when it really needed to, though. And he had like a 50-yard run on that screen pass. So, look, man, you're not going to get much higher praise than what I'm already giving you. I'm a huge Derrick Henry fan. Have been ever since we selected him in the second round, which sounds crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, if for any reason, if J-Rob ever got inducted to the Hall of Fame, that needs to be the biggest highlight of his, lustrous career as so far as a GM. Just say, hey, I got Henry, and maybe induct them both at the same time, Henry and J-Rob, in the 15, 20 years down the road.
He's already got a lot on the resume, J-Rob, Derrick Henry, but I'm taking this on a game-by-game basis. I'm very happy being 5-0, game by game. I'm not getting too far ahead of this one.
Right.
As a Titans fan, you learn not to do that.
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you another guy that balled out, Tannehill. I mean, we always talk about Henry, but I think we need to start talking Tannehill in a MVP conversation. I mean, think about it. I mean, he had 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. His quarterback rating was 122. He maintains that quarterback rating 110 and up every stinking week, and that's impressive. And also, you got to look at it this way. He leads the NFL in 4 game-winning drives so far. 4. And 3 of those were comeback wins. If that's not clutch, man, I don't know what is, man. I mean, that's showing he's got the moxie, especially coming with the 2-minute offense. I think he runs it, and he runs it greatly, man. I mean, enough. I mean, I can't say enough of what Tannehill's doing right now. Incredible.
Yep, I'm a big fan, man, and I'm hoping he can keep it up.
Exactly. But another takeaway, Titans defense has got to improve ASAP. We're 28th in the NFL in sacks, and we're 26th in passing touchdowns allowed. And the reason I bring up those 2 numbers, I feel like if we get – and we talked about this earlier – I feel like if we get those sacks going, that secondary is going to tighten it up a little bit more, because the quarterback's not going to have a lot of time to make those throws that is killing our defense. I mean, obviously, we've got to have more help in the secondary, but we got to make it work. And we've got the front 7 to do it. It's just between the COVID, between the injuries, between what's going – I mean, there's just a lot going on. But Jeffrey Simmons, we've got Daquan Jones, we got Beasley, we've got, of course, Clowney and Harold Landry. I mean, that's a stout front right there. So, I mean, it's not like we don't have the pieces. We just got to figure out how to get to the quarterback, man. It's just we've got to get pressure.
So I think they're getting close. I think they're going to get things figured out on that front. It can only go uphill from here when it comes to improving on defense because we've got up a lot of points already. Now, I think things will improve, but hey, look, we're 5-0. I'm
5-0.
happy with the way things are, but let's tighten that defense up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Also, did you know the NFL completed their investigation over us about the COVID outbreak?
Yeah, that whole thing was dumb anyways.
Just to summarize it up real quick, the only thing we should come out of this is only a fine, which is fine with me. I think I pretty much gave a big Twitter middle finger to Paul Koharski, which he deserves every stinking day.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been pretty hard on old PK there,
Can't
but
stand
he's kind of a loser.
I'm going to be hard on him regardless, man. I'm using my Twitter to the full max right now, bro.
You're going to get banned before we know it, Chuck.
I'll be in jail again. I'll be a repeat offender. But let's hop into the fantasy studs and duds, man. And I've got some new faces, and this is the first week I think I've had all new faces on my duds this week. So, Ryan, do you want to do the honors first? Or you want me to go first?
Go right ahead, Chuck.
All right. Get the bad news out of the way. I like it. So, number one on my list is DeAndre Hopkins. I think this is more because of the game flow of the Dallas game because they got up early, didn't need to pass the ball a lot to DeAndre Hopkins to make, plays because I felt like Kenyon Drake played out of his mind, 164 yards,
If you're going to double anybody, you're going to double DeAndre.
Right. I mean, he still had 2 catches, 73 yards, but he is the premium wide receiver one, and in a big week where there's a lot of buys, you need your stars to come through, and he didn't come through this week. Number 2, Tyreek Hill. And I think the same thing, just another game flow thing. I think they just ran the football a lot, but with a high-flying offense, and Tyreek has been consistently scoring in one of the top-tier receivers in the league this year, kind of had a dud this week. He had.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I had two leagues where I had Tyreek. I needed him to have like 15 points, and I'm winning both of those matchups. Guess what? I lost both of those matchups. It was unfortunate.
He laid a big turd for you, brother. I'm sorry, but
he had fantasy-wise.
He had one rushing attempt for 5 yards, and he had 2 catches for 20 yards. So that's not going to get it done. Also, you got Alexander Mattison. I should have put him number 1 because a lot of hype, no Dalvin Cook in front of him, going to be an RB1. And same thing. I think the Vikings got behind early and they abandoned the run altogether. So it was just Cousins, and Justin Jefferson. What a stud. But it just left Alexander Mattison in the dust. 26 total yards, 0 scores. That's horrible, man. I mean, at least in a blowout, Dalvin Cook would still have catches, still have, at least 1 touchdown. I mean, that's what makes him such a great fantasy running back. Mattison didn't even get close, and that's why Mattison will be going back into the cellar this week because I'm sure Cook, after the bye, will be back.
Yeah.
So another one, number 4, Odell Beckham Jr. As you know, he's been in your stud list a couple of times this year. And, well, he makes a visit in my list this week. He only had 2 catches, 25 yards, goose egg touchdowns, man. I just think it was just a tough matchup this week with the Steelers. But you felt like if they got behind, he would have to go off sometimes. But I think when Baker Mayfield went out and then they got Keenan, what's his name, the quarterback for the Browns. Well, anyways, when they pulled Baker, that was pretty much it. You didn't see OBJ anymore, but I think he's battling a sickness right now.
So I think Odell was sick. Baker was hurt coming into the game with the rib injury too. Harold Landry was shaken up with something as well, and you could tell Baker was not. I mean, he's had some shitty games and he's had some good games. You could tell, though, he was feeling that rib injury, too. He didn't look like he was at 100% regardless. Defense, made him pay in this one. But, yeah, that whole offense just didn't look great. They need Chubb back big time.
Big time. And Kareem Hunt didn't get it done either. He almost made my list, but he did get a couple touchdowns, kind of salvaged the day a little bit. My last one, Josh Allen. Now, everybody's like, hold on now. He's got 2 scores, but all right. Quarterbacks get touchdowns regardless in fantasy football. Regardless. Most of the time. Most of the time. I almost put Aaron Rodgers, but where Josh Allen has been a constant QB1 all 4 or 5 games, had his lowest output of the season. I mean, it was low. I think it was
That's
like 20
key, though,
points.
right? 4 or 5 games. It's a trend. You got to watch those trends because trends go up and they go down. And when it comes to young quarterbacks, and you know, Buffalo's played pretty good offensively this year, but it's still not like a top-tier offense week in and week out.
Right. And I could have put Aaron Rodgers there.
I think you should have. I think he deserves it.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give him an honorable mention in my doo-doo list. So
okay.
Aaron Rodgers goes in that too because he laid an egg as well.
He don't make too many doo-doo lists, but, you know, in this case,
he does.
He lost one of his best offensive linemen there too. Bakhtiari, I think he went down in this game too. It's not good.
He can be the shit shoveler on my list this week. There you go.
There you go.
So, all right, Ryan, who's your studs this week?
Fantasy studs this week. You've already hit on it. We'll start with Derrick Henry because he has to be on this list. ESPN leagues, he was, I think, tied for the lead as far as with the most points scored this week. But 22 carries, 212 yards on the ground. 94 of them in one play, which was just awesome to watch again. Once he broke free, you knew it, you know, as far as that goes. Unless 2 guys could get to wrap him up pretty quick, he's on to that end zone. But, yeah, 22 for 212, 2 touchdowns. Also had 2 catches for 52 yards, most of those coming on that key screenplay towards the end of the game. But Derrick Henry continuing to go off and just go beast mode as far as that goes. You also mentioned Justin Jefferson. You know, playing great. Young guy, LSU guy. He got his start against Tennessee a few weeks back. You remember he had 7 for 175 in that one. Well, this past week, 9 for 166 and 2 scores. He's going off. He's paying dividends as far as taking over that spot that maybe Diggs left a wide open.
That's what I'm saying. What a great filler for Diggs because everybody thought it's just going to be Thielen. But, man, Jefferson's really – he's taking it over, to be honest with you.
Cousins is going to be slinging that ball, so he's going to have to throw it to somebody, and Jefferson's proven to be one of the best targets he has. Sticking with receivers, Julio Jones made an appearance back this week, maybe for the first time this season. He went off. I was against him in 2 leagues. I lost in both of those leagues. But this past week, best performance so far of the year since week 1. He had 9 catches for 157 in week 1. Well, this week he had 8 for 137 and 2 touchdowns, 33 points in a standard ESPN scoring league, and just tremendous. He has to be on your stud list, and he's obviously a must-start every week, so it's not real big news. But from the way he's been trending, Julio Jones went off this past week. Now, there's a lot of other guys you can throw on here too. You got to at least throw in one more quarterback, I feel like, because it's a quarterback-driven league, and that's proven to spill over even into fantasy right now, too. You know, if you don't have the Russell Westbrook, him on the bye, you had to plug and play a lot of guys. If you plug and played a guy like Ryan Tannehill this week or a guy like even Carson Wentz, not a real bad week for either one of those guys. So I would go ahead and put one of those spots just for both of those guys. So we're not wasting too many on a quarterback this week. But we're proving, look, sometimes you can wait on those quarterbacks in drafts. This year, you need one of those studs, I feel like. But also Kenyon Drake. Let's not forget him. Kenyon Drake with a big week this week. And there's been a lot of people kicking themselves, I think, for either keeping him or drafting him really high. But he proved to be worth it this week. 20 carries, 164 on the ground with 2 touchdowns. Didn't add anything in terms of receiving, but he didn't really need to. Got the job done where they asked him to do it, and had himself a week out there.
Yeah, he staved off Chase Edmonds for at least another week. You know, it was against a historically bad Cowboys defense right now. So, I mean, I could run through that defense and have 200 yards in that game. You know what I'm saying, homie? So,
absolutely. And then how about a kicker too? Because McManus this week, 6 for 6, man. He had 24 points in standard ESPN scoring leagues. It's a hell of a week for a kicker right there, man.
There you go. He had a Gostkowski week. There you go. He had
a good one.
He had a good one. So let's go to the waiver wire pickups for the week this week. Last week we did our pod Thursday, and it was kind of late. You knew some of the key members that we talked about were already gone. So I got a few to run through, Ryan. Justin Jackson. This guy, it's the running back out of the Chargers. Joshua Kelly has been doing a good job, but Justin Jackson is available, and he's only rostered in 45%. So 55%, he's available. So, I mean, if you're looking for a filler at running back for this week, he'd be a good one. He outsnapped Kelly 42-25 last week. So he could be an RB1 this week. So, I mean,
yeah, I bet he's very high on the waiver wire in any league that he's still available. So if you've not got one of those top spots in the waiver wire, good luck.
Yeah, good luck indeed. Another one, Boston Scott, running back out of Philly. Miles Sanders went down this week with a knee, and he's not going to play Thursday. They have confirmed that. He's going to sit out this week. He might even sit out the next week. So
I think you're going to right here is probably the number one free agent pickup this week too. So like when we talk about waiver wire spots, if you're in a league that does the waiver wire or if you're in an auction league, you're going to be paying a decent amount for a Boston Scott this week.
He's only 13% rostered, man. So he's 87% available in most leagues. So,
and you remember the little Terry went on last year, right? Where he was a little bit of a popular name in fantasy circles.
Yeah. So, I mean, so he could offer an RB2, but like you said, Ryan, if he has a good week, and he's got the Giants, so he could be an RB1 this week, man. So he could be a good start. So Tim Patrick, the wide receiver out of Denver, you know, everybody keeps saying, oh, they got Jared Jeudy, but this guy has constantly been one of the top receivers for Denver. He's led almost in every category each week. If not, he's probably the top receiver. So he had a big week against the Pats, and that's saying something. The Pats have a stellar defense against receivers. So he brings that number 2 receiver appeal. So, like, if you got Juju Smith-Schuster and you got Tim Patrick, I roll with Tim Patrick this week, man, because Juju Smith-Schuster can't be trusted no more, man.
He had a bad week last week because he's spreading the ball around. Juju's going to be he's going to be there. He's going to pay off.
So you would still stick with Schuster over Tim Patrick?
Absolutely, 100% of the time.
Well, maybe this week.
Pickup, but you're starting Tim Patrick over Juju Smith-Schuster?
If I had to, yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster then. You refuse to come off of him in one league. Go ahead and trade him over. Just like you want to
might be a possibility, dude. I ain't doing Henry. I'm not doing Henry, man. That is off the table. I'm done with that. But Dallas Goedert is supposed to return off of IR, and Zach Ertz is out for at least a month. So you like math, Ryan? So with Ertz out a couple of weeks plus Goedert being off the IR equals it's Dallas time in Philly, man. It's Dallas
got
time.
The other like wide receiver / tight end. What's that guy's name? Fulgham?
Fulgham.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
He's the pickup to have there. But yeah, also they like to throw it to Goddard and a solid waiver wire pickup, especially if you need a tight end.
Well, I think Fulgham has already been picked up in most leagues now because he had another big week again. So solid there, solid player. I'm going to add your favorite boy, Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's say, for example, you've got 2 quarterbacks on bye and you need an emergency fill. Jimmy G had a good bounce back week. He had 250 yards plus, 3 touchdowns last week against a good Rams defense. So I don't know who they're playing, but if you're in a jam, go get Jimmy G and let him fill out this week. So, I mean, he's at least come back to bye-week filler standards right now.
I don't get really excited about Jimmy G in any format. Could be a good pickup if you absolutely are in a spot where you need a quarterback. But, man, yeah, I'm still not real high on Jimmy G when it comes to that. But, hey, there's definitely worse guys that you can put in there in that position if you need to fill her.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could put Daniel Jones in there and let's see what happens then. You know.
Put Aaron Rodgers in there and get like 3 points this last
Oh,
week.
come on, man.
Mm,
Phew, that was horrible.
rough week, man. It's unpredictable, this game, though. That's why they play it, right?
That's why they play it. That's why you play the game, man. You play to win the game, man. But but we'll hop into our breakdown and predictions for the next week coming up. We'll do the SEC. I was going to do the Big Ten, but I couldn't find the schedule, which is odd. You know, with it, Big Ten is actually coming back this week. By the way, I should have mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, we're talking real football here, and
That
not
is
necessarily
true.
just ACC. We're going to talk SEC, where the
There you
big
go.
boys play.
So the SEC, we'll start with Missouri at Florida. I think the game is on. It was at 13 point favorites for the Florida Gators, but it might change with the COVID situation going on in Missouri. So let's just skip the whole line and just do a prediction. Florida, Missouri, who you got?
Florida covers 13. It's Missouri. It's not the Missouri that we've seen in the last couple of years that upset both of our squads. But I think Florida can handle this one. They've had plenty of preparation after this COVID situation too, and they got something to prove coming off
Well,
that last loss.
well, are you a little worried about that defense, though?
No, I
Leaky
don't think so.
defense?
They're certainly going to bounce back. You're going to have your games, and look, you're playing a solid schedule when it comes to SEC teams week in and week out. And there's no pushovers, not many pushovers when it comes to offenses in this league. So no, I expect Florida. They're not going to give up near what they did at Texas A&M when it comes to Missouri.
I agree. I just don't think they have as much firepower as A&M did, and they'll make it a game kind of like it's going to kind of be like the Ole Miss game. You know, Ole Miss game, like a little bit of a push in the first half, but I think with Trask and Pitt's combination alone could easily beat this Tigers team. So Tigers, and they cover the spread if the line holds. So let's go to Georgia at Kentucky. So interesting game here. Kentucky's flying high, man. That defense, that secondary, man, has been pretty good. I'll give it that. I mean, they made a believer out of me this week when they beat my balls, man. They made a full believer out of me, even though Garantano's tossing the ball around like he's got a wet noodle for an arm. But, hey, that's just me talking. So Georgia is a 10.5-point favorite. I think – what do you think, Ryan? Do you think they cover?
Yeah, take Georgia.
Take Georgia? All right. No questions asked.
Yeah, Kentucky's not playing a UT here. They're playing Georgia.
Yeah, I agree. I think they cover. Alabama goes to Knoxville and plays the Tennessee Garantanos.
So you picked Tennessee to win this in the preseason. This was your big upset of the year. Do you think that they even cover this 20-point spread? Do you think Alabama covers the spread, I guess, or do you think Tennessee can keep this within 3 scores?
It's like I said earlier. If Garantano plays, they have 0 chance. It'll get way out of hand. It just depends who's at quarterback. As of right now, it's supposed to be Garantano, and if that's the case, Bama's going to cover it. It's going to be but it's going to be over by halftime.
Look, unless they shoot a bunch of steroids and human growth hormone in Peyton Manning's neck and somehow bring him out of retirement and somehow give him an extra year of eligibility, I think Alabama covers this spread.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I did pick this as my upset game of the year.
I called you crazy at the time, but I didn't realize how crazy you might be.
I don't know, man. Maybe I had some wicked go-go juice for all I know, man. It was just something else. But, yeah, after the Kentucky game, I'm just kind of changing my mind. Please prove me wrong. I like to see an upset here, but it's not going to happen.
Just keep it,
I'll keep the faith.
Blowout, right?
I'll keep the faith, but I'm going to use my smarts here and say Tennessee does not have a chance. So we'll go ahead to the next one. Auburn at Ole Miss. I think Lane Train gets this one, man. I think he'll get this win because Auburn's falling fast.
I agree with you. Yeah, I would take Lane Kiffin. I've expected more out of both of these programs early on in the year. But I think Ole Miss has got what it takes to handle Auburn, and Auburn's just trying to really figure out an identity still.
Yeah, and with Bo Nix struggling, I can just see Kiffin getting creative. I think Corral, the quarterback at Ole Miss, has a better game. He had 6 interceptions against the Hogs. I see a complete turnaround. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this game by double digits over Auburn. Auburn's just ain't got nothing going right now for them. So we'll also talk about South Carolina have won 2 straight. We'll go against the LSU Tigers. So I don't know, Ryan. This one's a
South Carolina favored in this one?
No, it's Ole Miss 6.5.
LSU's favored, you mean 6.5?
Yeah, LSU. My bad. LSU is 6.5.
Okay, so LSU 6.5-point favorite here. I don't know, man. LSU, I believe the starter down there at quarterback's hurt too.
Yeah,
I don't
Brandon
know the full
Spuzz.
extent,
It's supposed to be
but
some kind of lower body injury, according to Coach O, and he's highly questionable, so he might not even play.
give me LSU. I think they got to figure this thing out. That's really a crapshoot when it comes to it because both teams have been very up and down week in and week out. But I think LSU can handle things at home.
So you wouldn't bet on this game?
Nothing too crazy as far as I'm not going to bet on that game in particular. But if I did, I would put my money on LSU.
So out of all the games we just mentioned for the SEC, which game would you put your money on?
As far as
that is a safe lock. Who's your lock?
Georgia over Kentucky, 10.5 points.
Okay. Solid lock. My lock, I have to go for it. Tennessee and Alabama. That's a lock. God,
Alabama
man.
covering?
Alabama's going to cover 20.
Chuck.
I know.
Are you going to watch? You're not even going to watch that game, huh?
I'll be at work, thank God. So I got something to keep me distracted.
What happens when everybody's busting your phone and you're like, holy shit, we got to lead at halftime, Chuck?
That'd be the only time I'm glad I'm wrong. So I would be over the moon, but
I respect it.
Let's be real. It's not. I don't think it's going to happen.
Let's look at some NFL action before we get out of here.
All right. New York Jets will travel to play the Philadelphia Eagles Thursday. 6-point favorites for the Eagles and 45 over and under. What you got?
Do they hate us with these matchups on primetime? I think they do. And this week's
supposed to suck.
Take the Eagles. I don't bet on the under often, but you might 45. Take the over.
I say the New York Giants upset. I think we're starting to see the rise of the Giants and be the best story known to mankind and take the NFC East. What am I on right now? What does it matter with me?
That storybook, that's for sure. But
yeah.
Hey, man, all right. So I got Philly. You got New York. The second matchup, Cleveland at Cincy. And it looks like Cleveland's the favorite by 3 in this one.
I'll take the over for the 51.5. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I think we'll see this Cleveland offense rebound. You know what? Give me the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll cover the spread and everything and get the over.
Cleveland Browns, yeah. So 51.5 is the over-under according here. And Joe Burrow's throwing the shit out of the ball. They're letting him really grip it and rip it. That's not equated to too many wins so far. I expect Cleveland to rebound. I agree. I'll put my money on Cleveland here with the over as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first meeting they had over 51 points, so I don't see that changing anytime soon.
For sure.
So, next matchup. God, man, they really do hate us. Dallas Cowboys at the Washington R-Words.
Oh, this is going to be a rough one right here. So, Dallas favored by 3 looks like. I think you have to bet on them because really no situation looks great here. Quarterback situation not good, but I would think that Dallas has enough of a running game, enough of a defense that they're not going to let this one slip away.
I agree. I think Red Rifle gets it done enough. We're going to see Zeke not fumble the football. We're going to see this team take the win, and I don't see them losing against Washington whatsoever, so I take the over. So we'll take Dallas. Detroit Lions at the Atlanta Falcons. God, these games suck this week, man.
Indeed. That one could be a shootout, though. Definitely take the over in that one. A lot of passes going to be in that game.
Yeah, it'd be Stafford versus Ryan. So yeah, I mean that would be a little fun in that. But as far as premium matchups, this is not the premium of the premium whatsoever. Give me the Detroit Lions. I think they'll get the dub with
Give me the
DeAndre.
Falcons. Falcons favored by 3. Looks like.
Yeah,
Give me the Falcons. I
all
think they
right.
got. I think they got something a little bit figured out. Like maybe throw the ball to number 11.
Yeah, and Calvin really had a good game too. So if you get those two involved, I think you'll win most
He's
of the
had a good
time.
season. Yeah, and I think Gurley. Maybe you need to get him involved a little bit more there too, out of the backfield.
Absolutely. So the next game is the Carolina Panthers will travel down and play the New Orleans Saints. Saints are 7.5-point favorites, 51 over and under.
Carolina. I don't think they're going to have McCaffrey back yet. Right?
Not
He's
just
probably
yet,
waiting
but
one
Mike
more year,
Davis has
one more
done
week.
a great job.
He's done good. Yeah. Give me New Orleans to cover 7.5-point spread. 51 points is the over under. I don't like to bet unders ever. If I was going to, I'm not going to, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was maybe a little sloppy or a little more low scoring than people think.
I think you'll go over because I think it's in the dome, and when things get in the dome, things get wild. So I'm going to go Saints. They will not cover the 7.5. I think it'll be a 3-point win. It'll be over 51 points. So I got the Saints.
Wasn't there some controversy about playing in the dome or whatever?
Oh, wait a minute. That is right. I think they might be playing at LSU instead. So I'm not
No,
100% sure what's
they're
going on.
Superdome, so they're going to allow 3,000 fans into the Superdome, and I guess they're doing some
Okay.
kind of lottery style or something to figure out who
I
gets.
think the deal on that one, just long story short, they were going to go to LSU to get more fans into the stands, and I guess they just said, all right, just go ahead and let them in.
Well, I think it's the closed dome thing. They want open stadiums so that the spread of the virus isn't as much of a factor and stuff. Who knows? But yeah, there was word they could be playing at LSU.
All right, the next matchup, Buffalo Bills, losers of 2 straight, played the winless Jets.
I don't even need to hear the spread. Take the Buffalo Bills to cover. Don't even think about over under bets when it comes to anybody playing the Jets, unless you're looking at the over.
All right, amen to that. Buffalo
It's
Bills.
gonna be one-sided, right? Like to cover that over, you're gonna need a lot out of one team, and that's the team that's not the New York Jets.
Yeah, Flacco's going to have to win you that game, and sorry, he's not going to get it done for you.
I feel bad for Flacco.
Poor Flacco. And he's already got a ring, so why should we feel bad for him? So, the Green Bay Packers, 3.5-point favorites, 56 over and under against the Houston Texans at Houston. So who you got, Ryan?
If I just look at this past week as far as quarterback play, I would pick Deshaun Watson to beat Aaron Rodgers 100% here, but I expect A-Rod to bounce back. And yeah, I think you can take Green Bay and you can take the over. Going to be a lot of pass attempts here.
Yeah, I agree. I think A-Rod gets this win, but it's going to be tightly contested. The Houston Texans defense is about as loose as wet cheese on a butter knife right now, man. It's just pretty bad right now. So with that, Green Bay's got a little more stouter defense. I think A-Rod gets a bounce back here.
Agreed.
So Pittsburgh Steelers, probably the biggest matchup of the weekend, basically. Pittsburgh Steelers will travel to Nashville, and we finally get our game against the Steelers.
The game
Steelers come out
back, and an AFC Central matchup right here. If you remember that matchup,
oh yes,
give me the Titans to go 6-0, baby. I think we've really played well against Pittsburgh. Looking at recent history with a lot worse teams, I don't think they're ready for what they're about to get out of Tennessee. They better be ready to play.
I think Tennessee has a bigger chip on their shoulder, and I'm not saying that because of the Tennessee fan, but if you look at the past 2 weeks, this team will not refuse. They refuse to lose. Last week was heir apparent. I mean, the old Tennessee Titans would have lost against Houston. They would have found a way to lose.
I want to see them get to Big Ben. We're going to have to pressure Big Ben. And it's definitely the homer pick of the week for me. I'm picking the Titans this week, but this matchup, maybe the least sure I've been about any all season because both teams still playing pretty good. What?
Yeah,
2 out of the 3 undefeated teams left, right?
yeah. There's only
Including
3 left. So after the day, after that Sunday, we're going to have 2. But I'm with you, Ryan. 100%. Got to have that pass rush on point against Big Ben, and Big Ben's hard to bring down. So,
Yep,
yeah,
got to get there. Got to bring that man down, something they didn't do great against Josh Allen.
absolutely.
Also, we talk about undefeated teams. The other one being Seattle. They're the next matchup, right? At the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle favored by 3. I think they're going to cover that just fine. I don't think it's going to be near as close as that last game was when it comes to Seattle. What do you think?
And I think this is a tricky game because Arizona has just been teetering back and forth. Are they a good team? Are they a bad team just playing with dumb luck? I think Seattle gets it done. Defense is just a little too much depleted with the Cardinals. We won game, but I think the Seahawks get it done.
For sure. Yeah, Seahawks been nothing but consistent all year so far, and the offense looks great.
Next matchup, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. And the Chargers are 8-point favorites, 49 over and under.
I would like to take the Chargers here, but 8 points seems a little high for this one because, look, Minshew keeps them in games down there. The one bright spot Jacksonville has, other than Robinson, their running back, Gardner Minshew, fun guy to watch, one of the best mustaches in the game. Take the Jaguars against my better judgment in this one, and also the over, I think. 49 points. I think they could score more than that.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. I've picked the Jaguars the last 2 weeks. They have burned me pretty bad. So I'm going to roll with the Chargers here. I think Justin Hubert, he had a bye week. This offense had a bye week together. They worked out together. I think they just have a great game and beat the Jaguars.
All right.
So San Francisco 49ers will play the New England Patriots. Patriots are favored by 3 points, 45.5 over and under.
Jimmy G coming home to play against New England with their shiny new weapon back there, Cam Newton. Hoping to rebound from a pretty bad performance last week. This is going to be a tough one because, what's Belichick going to do coming off of that, the week that they had last week, right? Coming off a loss. You think he's going to look to rebound his game plan, probably going to be top-notch against a quarterback that he knows a lot about, right?
I agree. Absolutely. It's all going to be for San Francisco. It's going to depend on Jimmy G and what he can bring to the table. Which one are we going to see? We're going to see the bad Jimmy G or the good Jimmy G. You look now at New England. This is a must-win game. Think about it. Miami's creeping up, and the Bills are ahead of the division right now.
You think you're worried about Miami if you're New England, though?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I don't think they should have threw Tua in. I think Brian Fitzpatrick should have continued being the quarterback. But what if Tua picks up where he left off at Alabama? This division race will get a whole lot interesting here, Bob.
I'd be very surprised if Miami competed for anything this year. But, hey, look, there you go.
They've won 2 straight.
When it comes to this matchup, I think New England's going to win this one.
Yeah, I think this is a must-win. They have to keep up with the Bills and stove off the Miami Dolphins. So, yes, they get the dub over the 49ers.
And cover the 3-point spread.
Yeah, they'll cover it. I think they should cover it. Kansas City Chiefs opened up as 9.5-point favorites over the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
So
Kansas City, 9.5 points favorites over the Broncos. Kansas City been a little up and down as far as what we could expect out of them recently, but you expect them. Denver's defense is pretty sneaky, though, now that I think about it. Especially, we saw a little about it this last week where they played against New England in that one. I'm not going to go against my better judgment in this one. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to cover that 9.5 points. The favorite here, I think they're a favorite for a reason, and a lot of those matchups going to be key to that.
All right. I was with you, man. I was about to say, this should be Kansas City tenfold. But the show they put on against New England, it made me think for a minute. But I think the Kansas City Chiefs, too much weapons for this defense to keep up with. And they just don't have enough even close offensive firepower to keep up with Denver. So, Kansas City, I believe they cover too, 9.5.
Okay.
So, next game. we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing against the Las Vegas Raiders. So this is an interesting game. Raiders open up as 3-point favorites.
That's surprising.
With 53.5 over and under. Interesting. 3-point favorites for the Raiders.
Just because it's a home game, I'm guessing. But that means that you're giving them 3 points, so you expect it to be almost even kill if it was on a neutral playing field. That sounds crazy to me. Give me Tampa Bay if you're giving me points at all, and go ahead and hit that over.
The way this Tampa Bay defense is playing, absolutely. I'm with you, Ryan. Let's go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the last game will be Monday night. Will be the Chicago Bears traveling down to the Los Angeles Rams. To me, nearly two of the best defenses in the league right now playing. 5.5 points to the Rams, 46 over and under.
It's a tough one.
That is
Chicago
a tough
Bears, are they for real? The record would indicate that they are. The Rams, coming off a disappointing loss last week, you think they're going to have things figured out. I would probably stay away from this game if I'm betting money. Probably look elsewhere, but I would take LA if I did have to bet on this game. The favorites by 5.5. I think that they'll probably. I think they'll easily cover that. 46 points over under. Hit that over. LA. I think they're going to be able to move the ball.
I disagree with you, Ryan. I will go with the Chicago Bears here.
Okay.
I feel like the 49ers really exposed something to the Rams. They played some good defense, made it pressure on Goff, and that's not a good thing because this Chicago defense will get after Goff. Khalil Mack, obviously, Hakeem Hicks at defensive end as well, and you got the secondary that is mean and tenacious as well. And I just feel like it's going to be a defensive game. I don't even see it hitting the over. I'm going to go under. I'm going to choose the Chicago Bears.
So the Rams have a good D too, but when you just look at the quarterback matchup, so if you just said Foles versus Goff, you like Foles better there?
I like Foles, to be honest with you. And because Goff really hasn't proved anything. So I think Goff plays in a better offense than Foles does. To be real, he's got two of the best receivers in the game right now between Kupp and Woods. What does Foles have? He's got maybe David Montgomery. So, as of right now, I would go with Goff, but because of his weapons around him.
But you still think Chicago's pulling this one out, huh?
I do. I just think they'll just make the plays, and I think the 49ers really showed something that the Rams' weaknesses are. If you can run the ball against them really well like they did, I felt like, Jimmy G had a good game because of the setup play action. And you look on the other side of the ball, they stuffed that Rams offense. So, and to me, the Chicago Bears defense is way better than the 49ers defense because of the talent that they have on the field.
Did I say Rams?
That is right. My bad. So to me, no, I was using an example like the 49ers D and the Chicago's D compared right now. The Chicago's defense is better than
I got your last week's matchup.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
All right, my bad. You lost me there for a second.
Sorry, man. That was my bad. But we'll just say Chicago Bears. We'll roll with it.
All right, Chicago.
All right, man. That's it for the matchups, man. And we're fixing to wander down. Dude, what do you have? Anything for a closing thought, brother? What you got?
Well, happy with where we're at as Titans fans. Again, disappointed where the Braves, ended the season, but still, hell of a season for those guys. And when you really look at why we love sports, why we love to watch the games, that series, look, if you tuned into that series, even if you weren't real into baseball, I feel like you got a lot of excitement out of that. It was a good thing for the MLB to have that series. Hated to see Atlanta go down the way that they did, but they put up a valiant effort anyways. Just fell a little bit short in a few categories. Also, I don't know if you saw Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. They got caught on a hot mic.
Oh, yes. Yes, I saw that.
Too, talking about the flyovers and how unnecessary they are. And it is very patriotic, and I do like it. But I'm kind of on the fence because it is kind of a big waste of resources and things like that, especially during a pandemic. But I did just think it was a little bit funny. Yeah, look, sometimes we've seen this happen recently with a couple of guys. You get caught on the live mic. You got to be careful, especially in the day and age that we're living in. Lucky for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, they didn't say anything much worse.
Pretty derogatory, yeah, I believe you. The flyover is 50-50 with me. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, to me, the national anthem is to honor the flag, not the flyover. So, I mean, like you said, they didn't say too much in that regard. But my closing thoughts, sucks to be a Tennessee Vols right now. I mean, what more can I say? I mean, to the enjoyment to pretty much everybody else in the SEC. But, you know, I didn't be a Tennessee Vols fan because it was, you know, it was nice and green on the side. It was at one point. You know, we're in dark days again, but I think we'll be fine. And as a Titans fan, I'm having at least the Titans right now. At least we got the Titans instead of the Tennessee Volunteers right now. I'm ready for basketball season to start. So, but I'm tickled the Titans are 5-0. Got a tough game this weekend against our rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, I think that's our biggest rival to me that I just can't stand. I can't stand Pittsburgh, man. I just can't stand those terrible towels, man. I just think this is going to be
a matchup.
Oh, man, exactly. I just feel like, you know, this is going to be a great game in this good underrated rivalry, and it's going to be a great game and to watch. Like you said, it sucks for the Braves, but I just think it sucks altogether for Atlanta, man. Imagine being a full Atlanta fan for all the teams. That would suck. Just flat out suck.
It's part of it, man.
But if you follow us on Twitter, give us a follow. Follow our podcast page at Run and Shoot Pod 1. That is Run and Shoot Pod 1. And I've got my personal one at Chuck Wagon 53. Ryan, what's yours?
At RC Smith 23.
Yeah, hit us up anytime. And on Twitter, we're on Twitter all the time. I'm going after Paul Kaharski, probably going to end up in Twitter jail once again. And Ryan's being a good boy over there on Twitter all the time, sometimes. But he's better on Twitter than I am. But give us a follow on Twitter. We also got our YouTube page that we're currently on right now. We're doing our Zoom podcasts now, and to me, they're great. Give us your thought and processes on that. If you think if this is a good idea, give us a shout. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube to follow our content. Also on Facebook, we've got our page up. Followers still keep coming around, and I think we're up to like 200 or 300, but it's a small gathering, but it's a start. So
yeah, give us to say a little. Hey, hit that follow button, give us some likes and some comments and stuff. We're here to have a good time, and interaction's a part of it.
Exactly, indeed. And hey, we started out just sitting at a lunch table one day and talk about sports like this all the time. So humble beginnings. I'm really proud of the humble beginnings we come from. But other than that, Ryan, I ain't got nothing else, brother. You got anything else you want to add?
That's it. Been good chatting with you again.
Absolutely. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and close this out, brother?
For the Run and Shoot podcast, I'm Ryan.
I'm Chuck.
Peace out.
Toodles.